So here we are on the last day of January, and January we know is a month that is traditionally hard for many people's mental health. Well, we're getting a very interesting, tangible case or example of just how hard it is, and it's coming courtesy of the beloved Sesame Street character Elmo. Earlier this week, Elmo's social media account on Twitter posted this. Here it is. Elmo is just checking in. How is everybody doing? Well, the response has been overwhelming, to say the least. It's gone viral, tens of thousands of replies within hours, and wow, are they eye-opening. People being brutally honest about the state of their mental health. You see them as they scroll by. Elmo clearly feeling the impact of that response because he posted a whole lot more. A day later, wow, Elmo's glad he asked. Elmo learned that it's important to ask a friend how they're doing and promised to check in again soon. And then that prompted an ensemble moment of famous Sesame Street characters with the hashtag emotional well-being, Bert, Ernie, Oscar, Grover, and more, joining in and promising to lend a sympathetic ear. So we've been talking about this among our team members today, and we wanted to talk about it further, what it really reflects. So Dr. Christine Purdon is back with us this morning, professor of psychology at the University of Waterloo. We met her during COVID. She gave us such great advice. She's back with us, and thanks a lot for giving us some time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Had you been aware of this circulating this week?
I had, yes.
And what was your initial thought as you looked at this and what's happened since?
Yeah, so poor Elmo, I'm not sure he knew what he was getting himself into, but I think it's interesting, and I think that there's a lot going on in the world. And when you and I spoke a lot during COVID, COVID was sort of the thing that we were preoccupied with. And now, of course, we're post-COVID, but we're dealing with the aftermath of COVID. Plus, there are massive changes in our world that we're all trying to adjust to. And I think Elmo's feeling the brunt of that.
So it's interesting. So I don't know if we can, I'll just sort of ask for things as we go on our conversation, Dr. Purdon. That initial post, Elmo's just checking in, how's everybody doing? He has about 500,000 followers. There have been, Dr. Purdon, 174 million views of that tweet. 174 million. There have been 3 million just in the time that I've been on the air this morning. That's how many people are tapping into this. So one of the things that people did tweet back and respond back was exactly what you said. I think we can show you this video. Somebody sent in this video showing Elmo's response when he realizes what he has tapped into. Previous episode of Sesame Street, like, oh my goodness, what have I done? What has he just scratched the surface of? What does it say here?
Yes, I think that we're living in a time that is perhaps a lot more unstable than we were accustomed to growing up. And I think that people are quite frightened about the future. And every time we open the newspaper, we just see so much bad news and so much uncertainty. And I think perhaps what Elmo's tapping into is our fear of uncertainty as to how things are going to work out and what it's going to mean for our lives and for our children's futures, etc.
Have you seen this kind of despair in your contacts, in your practices, and people are talking about it professionally?
I think people are finding it really hard to find solace in the world around them in ways that they were able to before. And I think it sort of feels like it's a dumpster fire. That's the word I've heard a lot from people, is that it's hard to manage stress in your own world when there's so much uncertainty in the larger world. In the past, we could have maybe turned to areas of certainty and peace, and now we can't.
There are no areas of peace and certainty. And you see that. I'm depressed and broke. I'm suffering, right at the, viscerally anxious. We're staring into an abyss. Wow, it is deep, I feel. And then I like this other tweet that Elmo or Sesame Street came up with. Wow, Elmo is glad he asked. Elmo learned how important it is to ask a friend how they're doing. Would you echo that sentiment? Because it's just a simple question that obviously can be very important to to unleash something, to establish a connection? What do you think about that?
I think it's such a lovely gesture to be able to reach out to friends and just check in for the sake of checking in, and just show caring for each other. And I think that a lot of our social contact now is online or through social media, and we're not face to face as much. And I think that social media is a unique place in the sense that we get a lot of extreme views without a lot of nuance. And, if we say, oh, I really enjoyed my pear this morning, somebody could potentially write back, well, why do you hate grapes? So I think that our contact on social media can go so wrong so quickly. I love the idea of just reaching out personally, one-on-one with a friend, just to check in, see how people are doing, and show the people around us that we care for them.
Yes, I mean, that's the conclusion of that tweet. Elmo loves you, letting people know. Why would people pour out their heart, in as many characters as they can, to Elmo, fictional character from Sesame Street?
It's a lovely question. I imagine that Elmo has a soft spot in people's heart. People grew up with Elmo in Sesame Street. He was a safe person, so they already have that association with him. But he's also somebody who we wouldn't think would judge us, and he's also not somebody with whom we have a personal relationship. So he's kind of safe to talk to. We trust that he's not going to say something mean back to us, and we don't have any relational consequences of sharing with him.
That's so interesting. He certainly hasn't said anything bad back. In fact, again, more offers of help, and he's brought in his friends. If we show you that one more tweet, Sesame Street is here to help. That is what friends are for. What is the best way, Dr. Purdon, to help someone who is hurting?
I think to reach out and just say I care, and not try to necessarily try to solve their problems or jump in with advice, and certainly not with judgment, but just to say, that sounds really awful. Let's have tea. Just to sit and hold somebody's hand, or just be with people when they're stressed, without, again, trying to move into action, because sometimes people are stressed about problems that there's really not much we can do about. But we can be there, and we can share, and we can also we can also help move things to talking about positive things in people's lives, things to rejoice about.
Bert did, in fact, offer to have tea. You're exactly right. Are you worried when you see something like this?
Yes. I mean, I think I'm worried about the world, because it's the world. I think this is a reflection of the world we live in. And I think it's important to remember that it's normal to feel stressed when things around us are very stressful. And I don't necessarily think it's indicative of a mental health crisis so much as it is reflective of two things. One is that the world is very uncertain right now. But secondly, I think that people, there's a lot of self-diagnosis happening through social media and such. And so I think people are more panicky about any kind of symptoms that they have now too. And so people are worried that they're drifting into a depression or to a major anxiety kind of problem. And in fact, it's a stress reaction to our uncertainty, and that we maybe want to move into more stress management types of strategies, as opposed to worrying that we're developing mental health issues.
So reach out to friends, reach out to the many hotlines that are available. There are resources, and clearly many people need them. We've needed your advice. I'm thinking about how many generations, decades we've learned things from the people and the cast of Sesame Street, and continue to do so this year. Thank you, Dr. Purdon. I really appreciate your giving us some time today.
Thank you so much for having me.